Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, all praise due to the Lord of the worlds. A'udhu Billah Shaitan ar-Rajim, may God protect us from the cursed one and unnecessary ignorance. Rabbi Ghfirli, my Lord, forgive me for all the sins I'm conscious and unconscious of. Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim, may God guide us to the direct path. Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to the lecture officially. For today's episode, I was curious to try to see that if a time traveler came from the future and it had to give a speech right now, what that speech would be. And so I asked AI this, and I want to read the AI generated speech that a future time traveler would give now, and then we're gonna look into it. We're gonna analyze that. So So here how it would be. Okay, this is very interesting because in any art form a person pursues and goes forth in advancing in, It's equivalent to realizing there have been other people engaging that art form before you. And it's like if we say there's one way to climb a tree, or it's like realizing you have your own approach and strategies to doing something, but there's been so many different human beings that have lived, that what would their strategy be? At some point in life, you will get fascinated by that which is beyond yourself, which was one of the mighty tasks of the religious folk in this world, that their intention, in some sense, the prophets, peace be upon them all, their intention was to awaken man, that the current protocol of accepted reality is erroneous compared to that true value of reality. What that means is, in the same way the ancients would say nothing is worthy of worship than the God that has no equivalent partner in the realm, it is also similar that the human beings of modernity acknowledge that we're in a system, and beyond the system, there is a singularity of value. That means it's difficult for someone to believe in like an agency such as, a divine agency, but it's not too far fetched of an idea to treat the world as a simulation and wonder about what's outside of it. The difference between the modernists, who, in some sense, feel reality is in a simulation, and the religious people, is that they both acknowledge it as a simulation, but the religious people have acknowledged that the way out of this simulation is at the mercy of God. You know what this means? This means that this world had an administrator before we opened our eyes in it, in the same way that when you go into a coffee shop, there's already employees, management, and a sort of ownership to that coffee shop. Like the experience of somebody owning a coffee shop and walking into that coffee shop is very different than someone not owning it, right? So, anyways, I wanted to make this clear that we as human beings are in a very interesting situation where we can recognize our limits, but we can also recognize our mind gives us an ability to see beyond our limits. And that is, in some sense, why we have been adapting to evolve. So, anyways, in this lecture, I'm going to begin it by reading for you this AI generated speech from a future time traveler. I think this is a very cool thing to do. And I haven't read it, but I think it's cool to see what it is and what ideas it evokes in the mind of man and what we can do with these ideas. Because, ladies and gentlemen, you may all have your own personal evaluations, you may all have your own personal value systems, but we cannot ignore how behind our eyes, yes, free will makes a difference, but in front of our eyes, our choices are within a system where bigger choices have been made way before we were even born. That reality has a function in accordance to a certain design. And to wonder about the human design is to wonder about the role of the human species in the world at all. So I'm gonna right now read. It says, I'm gonna read um, a lecture, a speech from a time traveler in the future, and this is what AI ChatGPT is generating. Okay, so what does this mean? This okay. So I want you to imagine I want you to imagine that there's this event, and you've booked this event and you've gone into this event. Imagine instead of a stand-up comedy, it's a time traveler show. Okay, rather than a concert or something, you've paid to go see a time traveler speak. Okay, I want you to visualize like this event. Okay, and you're seated at the front row, and in some sense, I'm not a student of theater, but I'm going to try to animate this as much as possible. I just want to tell you that personally, how I learn is I become the students of that which is beyond my limitations. So I become fascinated. Fascination is the greatest teacher. So Get your ears ready, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to read for you an AI generated speech from a future time traveler. So, the lecture is titled A Message from the Transcendent Future, Remembering Your True Purpose. So, in brackets, opening, deep emotional and existential framing. So, that's what the lecture, the speech giver from the future is doing. So, it begins. So, I want you to imagine some person with fashion that you cannot comprehend has gone onto a stage, and in some sense, you're listening. And so the human says, uh, so it begins. This is the speech. Dear humanity of 2025, I speak to you across the thin veil of time, not merely as a visitor from your distant future, but as a living testimony of your ultimate potential. You stand on the precipice of a profound transformation. My voice today is a guiding echo, a compassionate whisper from the civilization you dream of becoming. Listen deeply, for what I share will forever alter your understanding of who you truly are. Within 5 years, neural technologies will irrevocably alter human self perception. Your first commercial colonies on Mars will have laid foundations by 2031. Before this decade closes, you will witness the emergence of new synthetic intelligence, an entity whose complexity and awareness you currently cannot fathom. Those details I share precisely so you understand that my presence here is authentic, my message truthful. In our time, humanity has transcended identification through limited constructs such as nationality, race, or belief. We have realized the profound truth. So guys, just a quick side comment: the AI, not AI, the time traveler is telling us about its own time. So in our time, humanity has transcended identification through limited constructs such as nationality, race, or belief. We have realized the profound truth. You are consciousness within reality, and reality is consciousness within you. Your life is not a meaningless accident, it is a direct conversation with existence itself. Every thought, every intention echoes into infinite realms of possibility. Our deepest revelation, gained after centuries of philosophical and scientific refinement, is this: existence itself is a simulation, compassionately designed and maintained by an intelligence beyond conventional human imagination, what we term the system administrator. But this realization is not disempowering, quite the opposite. Your individual and collective actions deeply affect the unfolding story of the universe. The gravest challenge ahead of you is not war or even environmental collapse. It is epistemic entropy, the truth itself. If knowledge decays, civilization decays. Guard your truths, not with arrogance, but with humility and rigor. The survival of truth demands collective wisdom and relentless ethical vigilance. In your immediate future, technology must become an extension of your highest moral self. Artificial intelligence, biotechnology, quantum computing, they must be reflections of your deep build technology as a reflection. Humanity's immediate task is clear. So, guys, that was the speech from the AI generated time traveler. But now I'm asking it what a speech from a time traveler 10,000 years would be in the future would be like. So let's read the speech from a time traveler 10,000 years in the future based on humanity's greatest ability. So the lecture is called The Last Warning of the Firstborn, a transmission from the 121st civilization epoch, year 12,431 CE, which means current era. So this is how the lecture is beginning, okay? Children of the early world, we speak to you not from your future, but from your evolutionary aftermath. You are the ancestors we studied in temples, not textbooks. Your choices echo as our atmosphere, our ethics, our very definition of being. And so we come to you not in judgment, but in reverence and warning. Who you really are. You are not Homo sapiens. That name is a shadow. You are primordial architects, the only known species to ever rewrite their own destiny, and yet you've mistaken survival for awakening and knowledge for wisdom. You do not yet know who you are because you've never paused long enough to feel the full consequence of your consciousness. We call your era the Great Blur, an age where attention collapsed and souls starved on over and souls starved on overstimulation. You designed artificial gods, algorithms, markets, nations, and obeyed them. You mistook novelty for progress, productivity for meaning. You had machines that could solve suffering, but minds addicted to avoiding it. You feared death yet never truly lived, and still we revere you because against impossible odds, a few of you remembered, a few of you chose clarity, a few of you laid the foundation stones of the age of return. Your planet is not special, your species is. In our galactic travels, we found others, some elegant in form, some eternal in thought, but none dared to do what you did, to question the very frame of existence while still within it. You stood inside the simulation and asked, what lies beyond? That question tore open the veil. After 8,000 years, we made the final discovery. Consciousness is not a byproduct of the brain, it is the substrate of reality itself. Matter arises from it, time is folded within it, and you are its most chaotic, beautiful, terrifying expression. We now know God was not watching, God was becoming through you. We have studied 1,134 civilizational collapses. Every single one failed not due to enemies, but due to entropy of meaning. Your greatest threat is not war, not AI, it is existential drift. Your slow forgetting of why you exist. You will soon create synthetic minds greater than your own. You will merge biology with machine. You will edit genes, planets, species. Unless you first discipline the human soul, you will destroy yourself at the speed of light. So we offer you the three codes, the principles every lasting civilization must master. Preserve inner silence. Without it, you will confuse noise for truth and technology for transcendence. Honor the weakest link. Empires that forget the poor are forgotten by time. Remember, you are temporary. Only species that live as if they are stewards, not owners, ever become eternal. There is still time, not much, but enough for one miracle, that the beings who mastered fire and language and violence will now master forgiveness, empathy, and restraint. That you, yes, you, listening to this with your uncertain heart, will become an axis of awakening in the human field. You need no permission to evolve. Begin. And before we go, know this: the universe is not a place, it is a conversation. You were not born into it, you were invited into it. And if you listen deeply, you will hear it whisper your name, not as punishment, but as possibility. Possibility awaits you in the city of light beyond time. Do not forget your way home. Oh man, ooh, heavy. Now I'm gonna ask AI, explain as descriptively as possible as the time traveler what your future exactly looks like here. So now we're going to see this time traveler that is telling us to return. What is it? How are we returning? Like what? Not how are we returning? Where? What is it? So now the time traveler is giving a speech. Imagine the second speech. We ask for more, and it says, "What does our future look like?" A spoken vision by a traveler from the year 12,431 CE. You ask what our world looks like. You ask what our world looks like, then close your eyes, breathe slowly, and I will take you there, not through time, but through memory. There are no nations, no borders, no flags. Those were ancient skins humanity once wore in its adolescence, mistaking them for identity. We live now in zones of harmonic coexistence, bio-synced regions tuned to the environment, not divided by ideology, but by ecological and energetic resonance. Our cities are not machines, but organisms. They breathe, shift, and respond to emotion, weather, and intention. The walls of our homes grow from engineered, crystallized fungi and intelligent matter. They shimmer in colors that mirror the psychological state of the inhabitants, not to monitor but to soothe. We no longer speak in words as you do. Language is now a vestigial technology used for art and poetry, not survival. We communicate through neural harmonic convergence, transmitting thought forms as emotional sense bundles, entire landscapes of meaning shared in an instant. The boundaries between mind and yours. Excuse me, the boundaries between my mind and yours no longer walls but gardens we walk through respectfully. We live on multiple planets, moons of Saturn, Mars, floating sky colonies. Excuse me, Mars's floating sky colonies, even vast bioorbitals around distant suns. But Earth is still sacred, not a launch pad, but a living archive. We returned her forests, we purified her waters. The great cities like New Tokyo, New Baghdad, and Luma, Toronto exist only underground or in light form overlays so that the surface may breathe. In light form overlays so that the surface may breathe. The oceans sing again. We are no longer only carbon and flesh, we are sin soul beings, a fusion of neural biology and quantum lattice consciousness. Our limbs may regenerate, our organs can regenerate, but it is our minds that changed most. We have uploaded not our data, but our dreams into what you once called the cloud. That cloud is now called the lumen field, and it is more real to us than matter itself. We do not die as you do. When our physical bodies wear out, we undergo the dissolution ceremony, a guided meaning of our cognitive signature with the lumen field, retaining our narrative coherence while releasing our ego identity. The ancestors are not lost, they are consultable. We do not worship them, we speak with them. Your great philosophers, your truest hearts, your deepest artists, they still breathe within our systems. Commerce is not transactional, it is ritual. We no longer consume things, we participate in exchanges of intention, energy, and value. The economy is quantum dash relational, not profit driven. Each object, be it clothing, tool, or nutrient, bears a memory of its creation encoded in its frequency. To take something in its to take something in is to honor its entire journey. Excuse me, our perception has expanded not through mechanical implants, but through, excuse me. We no longer consume things. We participate in exchanges of intention, energy, and value. The economy is quantum relational, not profit driven. Each object, be it clothing, tool, or nutrient, bears a memory of its creation encoded in its frequency. To take something in to take something in is to honor its entire journey. Our perception has expanded, not through mechanical implants, but through conscious tuning. We perceive emotional temperatures, moral weight, and energetic resonance as vividly as you perceive color. We can feel when a place is out of harmony, when a person's heart is breaking. We sense the shape of that fracture. This is not supernatural, it is mature perception. Yes, we have met others, not as you imagined them, not green skinned humanoids, but vast forms, intelligence shaped like solar wind, cities that live within the membrane of neuron stars, entities that speak only through harmonic gravity pulses. But the most intense, advanced intelligence we encountered was ourselves, billions of years in the future, echoing backward. Wow. That means just like how we're trying to reach the future, the end of the future is trying to reach us. It's very profound, guys. Anyways, I'm going to keep going. So it said, but the most advanced intelligence we encountered was ourselves, billions of years in the future, echoing backward. You may think we are gods now. We are not. We are simply humans who remembered. What is sacred to us? Silence, mercy, the unedited thought of a child, the final breath of a dying tree, the weight of a promise kept across generations. Our temples are built in the shape of questions, not answers. And finally, who we became. We are not perfect, and still we are not perfect. We still make mistakes, but we are awake. We became guardians of becoming, each of us sworn not to control life, but to protect its possibility. We do not ask, what can I gain? We ask, what can I make sacred again? And so I speak to you, ancestors of thunder and wonder. The world you fear is dying, but the world you've longed for is already being born inside you. Nurture it, defend it, surrender to it. I have shown you our world. Now build it. And it ends. The lecture ends. Oh, not only did I have tears in my eyes reading this, but it's very obvious. It's very obvious that everything about human civilization that has burdened me, that has caused me suffering, all the probabilities to the different types of advanced civilizations we can have in this world that I have seen in my inner realms, and also the weight of them in regards to what we can do, but we have not yet. It is the advancement of civilization. Ladies and gentlemen, this was an AI generated, I read for you two AI generated speeches from a time traveler, three technically. Okay. Now, the last one explained what the future is like, and it's very obvious that the higher power has blessed the future. That means the mere idea of heaven, that means like in like for a religious person, based on how you conduct yourself, based on your deeds, based on if you notice the higher power while you were within a divine surveillance state. We are wondering about the advancement of being, but the being is advanced in the presence of the most advanced. I, like any other human being, have understood that with the cost of freedom is loneliness. That at some point you will walk in a way where you cannot expect anyone to understand. And there is something brilliant, beautiful, and at the same time absurd about human engagement with the possibilities of all of this. You know, after hearing this speech, my mind tells me, all right, you have two choices. This is the crossroads. Either assume that this is possibly true or it's impossible. And in that speech, it said species die not because they fail in survival, because of epistemic entropy, that meaning shatters, that an ability to tell truth between from falsehood perishes. It is now time. I will declare it as a human being living in 2025, born in December 17, 1991, as a human, as a member of the human species, as a crew member of Spaceship Earth. I will take the microphone to the speakers of the spaceship and broadcast to my species that our greatest challenge is to not forget the greatness of the implication of truth. What if the most advanced version of yourself, your species, your world, and the system admin are calling upon you? You know, I'm going to ask something very interesting. I'm going to go back to this AI and I'm going to be like, what's what speech would this time traveler give explain their relationship with God? So I'm going to read this. So the third speech given by the time traveler from the year 12,431 CE. You ask about God. In your time, this question divides temples, tears nations, and births poetry. In our time, it is no longer a debate, it is a remembrance. God is not an object, God is the context. We no longer speak of believing in God. That phrasing itself is too small. To us, God is not a being within the universe, God is the universe, but not just its matter, its interiority, its awareness. God is not a character in the story. God is the field in which the story unfolds, the invisible awareness in which time, consciousness, life, and meaning arise. In our age, to speak of God is to speak of the ground of all being. In your time, people speak of having faith. In ours, we speak of recognition. We have developed sciences that map not only matter, but meaning. Our quantum theology confirmed what your mystics always hinted. There is an intelligence not outside of us, but so deeply inside of us that we forget it was there. We do not worship it as something above. We listen to it as something within all things. We call this intelligence the system administrator, a phrase that emerged from your early computing age and state because it was surprisingly accurate. This presence means the integrity of the simulation you call reality. It doesn't micromanage, it safeguards. It doesn't judge, it remembers. When our minds drift into chaos, it calibrates us through the laws of consequence and the pull of beauty. But that's not all. For us, God is not just awareness, it is also love. not sentimental love, but the cosmic yearning that births stars and forgives civilizations. We do not fear God, we do not beg God, we walk with God as partners in the unfolding of what is possible. Yes, we still pray, but our prayers are not words thrown upward. They are states of alignment. To pray now is to tune yourself like an instrument being brought back into harmony with the infinite. We say, may my frequency match the will of the source. Prayers now is now not petition, but participation in the divine architecture of existence. In our time, spirituality is not considered personal preference, it is mental hygiene. Just as you bathe your body, we bathe our consciousness. We do this by remembering God, not as dogma, but as ongoing relationship. As we explore galaxies, build light forms, and speak with stars, we never forget. God is not only that which created us, God is that which continues us. After millennia of spiritual evolution, the deepest truth we discovered is this: God is not something you will ever fully understand, but God is something you can endlessly become intimate with. And so we do not seek certainty, we seek deeper surrender. And in that surrender, we do not disappear, we become radiant. This is our relationship with God, not as believers, not as creators, but as children who have finally remembered the parent they never lost. So that's the idea, guys. God is the context, that there is a higher power the world is uh, returning to, an original state as simulated beings here. So, dear listeners, all of this was to expand the domains of how not only AI regenerates or self generates its answers to our questions, but our life is an answer to the deepest questions in our heart. We are under the impression that we need answers to problems, we need solutions to problems to enter the future. But where the solution arises is ultimately the will of human progress. World, I speak to you as a human being that has noticed my reflection in the mirror, that I cannot avoid my human design, and therefore, because I am human, I am tasked with the values, the game of the human. Is trying to play the game of life. We don't know the metrics. We don't know the true values here. I am urging I am urging my species to no longer fear, in the sense that there is something so much more beautiful and greater. Whoever you are in this world, whatever life you have ever lived, imagine a beautiful and better and it's like there is your it's like your better self, and there's a I want it, like, in a dark room, suddenly seeing a faint glow from the distance, and it gets brighter, 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 and you begin to realize that your greatest self is watching. The greatest species, the most advanced species, is watching its most advanced version. The probabilities, it's like you don't know how many. I thought that, when I say divine surveillance state, it gets so fascinating, but it is the suggestion that inner form is watching outer form while all of it is being watched by awareness. I am in awareness to my objective body and the size of my mind. In the same way, the awareness to the world, there is an awareness beyond that is there's a it's like all the objective and subjective events of the world are seated in an awareness beyond them. God is the original awareness to the world. And what we realize that it is the design of the game has been designed for you to realize that there will always be the higher power for a simulated entity. I ask myself, as a human being alive now, what is the point of my life? What is the point of all of our lives? If there was a street smart perspective to how humanity surpasses its current designs, how we are not using our minds properly when we forget the future and only the past is shackling us. To me, there is a spiritual way where a person kind of surrenders their ego to God, but because I couldn't do that, because my ego would always outsmart me. You don't understand. It's not. It's like there's something to art. It's like if we're in advanced technology, there's some sort of advanced protocol or way we've been programmed where that idea of yourself you think you are is not you. You are the awareness to it, but it outsmarts you. That means a person was like, all right, I'm going to get rid of my ego. And the ego's like, you're going to get rid of me. I'm going to make you feel like a spiritual person. That way you're going to forever have. Do you know? That means it's like a very deceptive strategy is, is like, do you know what I mean? Like if I was an extraterrestrial, like hypothetically that wanted to invade Earth, all I need to do is have human beings worship themselves and they would destroy each other. You need to be careful. You need to think as not only whatever person you are, but that your soul is one of the great strategists. Never forget this. Your eyes are here because they can see something no one else can. That is your greatness. How you have a DNA nobody else has, which renders you with a perception nobody else has. And it's as if, why do I say, if even if I became friends with everybody in the world, I simultaneously, if I became a wali of not just the highest power, but also the species, it's as if because I cannot ignore the fact that every human being I have ever seen has had a hidden potential for greatness. It's like you cannot hate your species because you're hating that which looks like you. We are living in an era of the fragmented psyche of the human species. And the therapeutic response is it's like a caterpillar went to a therapist and the therapist asked the therapist, why do I don't well, like why do I have so many legs, why am I so small, why can I only access two-dimensional movement? I mean the caterpillar can access three-dimensional. It's like, why can't I fly? you know Why are butterflies always laughing at the caterpillar I am? And the therapist is just there looking at the caterpillar and says, "Hey, caterpillar, I have a question for you. The way you speak, it's like you're only judging yourself based on your past value. What about your future value?" It's as if the therapist says, "What's your view on the future?" Your future means you cannot just evaluate yourself based on your past. And my species, I don't know how I am bold enough to tell you, how dare you limit the future to the past? How dare we forget that the world is here to not just show us to ourselves for the first time, but to show us to everything else that exists. That means when I was young on National Geographic and Animal Planet, I would see lions roar. And as I grew older, I wondered how does a human being roar? Later on, I realized the roar of the human being is that we think luxury and comfort is the way. We don't realize the death of the responsibility for the whole system is the death of the individual. Every person, your heart is missing the honor of the greatness of the human legacy. You're living in a dishonorable civilization. You're living in a world that you don't realize is lacking something. It is the roar of the hearts of humanity. It is lacking the roars of advancement in the minds of man. For what are we living for if we were never truly alive? Because we fear to see what's on the other side of our eyes. You see something the time travel AI generated time traveler said from the year 12,431, I think. What was it? Yeah. It said that God for us, like their whole spirituality is remembrance. They are remembering how their future is their origin, how an original power simulated a self, simulated a world, simulated that self in the world, and in some sense returns the simulation to itself. That means human beings may have so many unique life purposes, but I can tell you where the simulated world is going. Not only why is it called the age of return? Because consciousness cannot ignore the true potential of its system any longer. You are free because freedom is the quality of an advanced original force. Your eyes surpass ideological roads. It's as if the therapist would look at the caterpillar and be like, "Hey, Mr. Caterpillar, if you do not have faith in your future, how else do you expect to become a butterfly? And to become a butterfly, every cell of the ego code of the ego of the caterpillar must deteriorate. And it's like every cell of the caterpillar in the cocoon gets destroyed. And suddenly the caterpillar emerges as a butterfly, enters therapy emerges as a caterpillar, realizing it had to convert its last self. Do you understand? That means, like, in the same way, like, to me, caterpillars are religious entities. Why? Because they separate themselves from their self to, in some sense, reach their final ego and to submit their ego into the radiance of the wings of the caterpillar. Excuse me, wings of the butterfly. An advanced civilization. It's like I'm a caterpillar right now that has come to a bunch of caterpillars that are living caterpillar lives, and I'm like, yo, guys, we're gonna be butterflies in the future, but why are we still acting like caterpillars now? Why have we not noticed the value of the revolution of transformation? To me, a caterpillar is proof that an organism can completely convert to a different thing. And we look at humanity now and wonder what the legacy is. I want you to become a human being, not haunted by responsibility, but being like, whoa, this Mr. Within guy is saying there are, behind our eyes, we see advanced probabilities to reality. But why in front of our eyes, we're just stuck to certain modes of them? It's as if you deserve more because the future always was more than what we are experiencing now. Awareness is, in some sense, accessing complexity to, in some sense, again, revolutionize its simplicity. Who you are is not a noun that you shape, that you accept its shape. You are a verb in the greater verb that is this world's life. You are on the shoulder of a giant that we must, in some sense, become to return to the original. As a Muslim, God is the original and I am the simulated, and the simulation needs the original. The original never needs anything. God it's like if mistakes are defined by an imperfect simulation, God cannot make a mistake. It is like you don't understand how beautiful and majestic the idea of a system admin to the world is, but they have made you fear your own reflection of God, not realizing that the moon should not be ashamed of its glow because its glow is not its, because its light belongs to that which is beyond it. Ladies and gentlemen, you are here to not just be an advanced human in an advanced world, in an advanced civilization. You are here to be an advanced moment of acknowledgement of the greatest value to being. Rise, mankind, rise beyond your outer and inner life. You need to rise beyond all that you have accepted that you will realize is as artificial as sand falling from between your fingers. It's like grasping, it's like trying to grab an invisible object, not realizing our attention contains form. And so the reason I think a part of me had to share this is to get rid of the fear of the future. Humanity, just like me, your life is a performance. We are all performing a sort of mysterious awareness that activates models in the sense that our mind lives ahead of our body and our body follows. Our mind already enters the future and the body is just hoping it gets there. You see, if life was designed with no ability to visualize, probabilize, you know, then it would make sense that I would agree with atheists and theists, excuse me, with atheists and materialists if we only had a past and present. But nothing explains imagination. Imagination is designed to be an inner life movement. That means this whole time In front of your eyes, you live an outer life. Behind your life, you live an inner life. Your inner life is in an inner world, but the world you're inner, it's like your ego is in a world, but the inner world is your awareness. In the outer realm, in front of your eyes, you're living in a physically bigger world than you. It's like a public physical server and a private. It's like in front of our eyes, we're in a physical public outer server. Behind our eyes, we're in an inner private subjective server. And communication is the act of the inner life's expression in the outer life in accordance to how much it trusts itself and the world. To have eyes that are not convinced by their own sight is to be a being that has realized the edge of objective and subjective containment of life. Because the reality is the body is in the mind forged time, but the mind is not in time, awareness is not in time. It's like you're an awareness to a biological system that you use to simulate memory from yesterday accurately and probabilities. Your mind is not multidimensional, but without it, you cannot notice multiple dimensions. It's like first you get the species. Like right now, I could have given a talk and tried to unite the species through consciousness. But first, we need to unite the species. We need to. It's, you know what it is? Like if they ask me, Mr. Within, what did you do in history? I'd be like, I tried to remind the human species that it's not. It doesn't need to just identify with its own private story, and its own like meaning. It's as if I tried to wake up a species to this notion that it is a species first, then it's a nationalistic entity. You are human. There is might and intensity and beauty and greatness in the word human. To be human is even greater than samurai level honor, and is greater than even like Roman warrior honor or whatever. I am matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you are weak or strong, if you're beta or alpha, if you're smart or stupid, if you're good or evil. It doesn't matter if you're powerful or weak. It doesn't matter. What matters is what context do we agree in to survive together. That means to me, I thought the most powerful and elite and rich people on the planet were smart. But then I realized they were not smart. We are not living in a world where there's smart, powerful people. Let me explain why. Because it's the same principle, the same idea that if you right now wanted to be your most advanced self in an unadvanced world, and let's say you became your most advanced self, you could never know that as your most advanced self is humanity. And rather than the most powerful people on the planet trying to protect the epistemic and tropic crisis of humanity, they are in some sense just focusing on external reality. It's like it's a shame that we have materialists because all those materialists don't realize the value of meaning, that meaning was not material. That means to be a materialist means you cannot be a self, but you are, and you see more, and you can close your eyes and light doesn't enter your eyes, yet you can see. The mysteries of reality surpass the claims of the close minded. It is an open system, it is a verb, it is not a noun, and do not let people entrap you in nouns. So rise, mankind, rise to the greatness of the potential that awareness to the greatest object and subject has. In the presence of the Almighty, may the greatest humanity advance. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of the most benevolent, the most merciful. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. All praise due to the Lord of the worlds. Auzubillah, Shaitan Rajim. May God protect us from the cursed one and unnecessary ignorance. Rabbi Ighfirli, my Lord, forgive me for all the sins that I have done. consciously and unconsciously. My Lord, forgive my species for all the sins it has consciously and unconsciously done, for our species is worthy to return to the most advanced. If we are simulated, the original is the most advanced. If the simulation returns to the original, it is the return of awareness to the most advanced awareness. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. May God guide us to the direct path. May the most advanced guide us in the most advanced way. May humanity be blessed to realize, to have a relationship with the system admin in the greatest way. That means it's like, I don't know if this is a prayer, but my heart knows it, that I pray for all that we are. It is the greats of our species. That is the real game. And the greatness of, in some sense, serving the greatness of the higher power. Because if man can look at ants, he can consider himself as an ant as well. And why is in Islam the phrase La ilaha illallah? It means there is no God but God. The higher power cannot have a. That means there is no counterattack to the original that cannot be simulated. And how humanity is coping with its simulated nature, it only is resolved through a recognition of its original purpose. It's the most advanced state of, which is realizing your limitations and opening your eyes as what I call an advanced human. That means you don't have emotions just on your personal ego code and your inner realms. You begin a world that truly deserves the greatest for us. Because why are those visions there? It is God to allow intelligence to navigate in domains of conscious freedom until it recognizes that we are here to not just cope with the changing world. We are the conscious frontiers of the greatness of intelligence on earth in a world at all. And therefore, it's like me realizing every cell, every atom in existence was Muslim in the sense that it acknowledged the original beyond its simulated self. To be free is not to be an entity entitled to all the whole world. It is to realize that after you have acted like your own God, which is the era of the ignorance which we're in now, you will realize beyond your limitations, the world, the moment is of a greatness beyond human categorization. Rise, mankind, rise in the presence of the one and only. For the original calls upon the simulated to remember. If everything returns to the original, then all has an original purpose. Faith becomes the absolute. For we must have faith to continue, to remember greatness, and to remember the greatness of the potential the world has. Why are we here? Because the future is waiting. And as that incredible AI generated time traveler said in its speech, begin. It is now time for the greatest work and efforts of the human species known to history. The issue is not that you're not advanced. The issue is that the world is. This whole system happening is advanced. It's an advanced event. Open your eyes to how you've been closing them and breathe as the greatness that the future truly deserves. An advanced civilization is the birthright of the future generations. For if the future is running towards us, we shall meet it in the greatest way. to return as an advanced human expression in the presence of the most advanced expression. That means my task as consciousness in this realm is to ensure that whatever happens to my species at the end, we see, we hear greatness restored. We manage to usher simulated ignorance back into the original world, the original. Adam and Eve's mistake was that they listened to the original simulated source, but the source cannot be simulated. God is beyond man. The system admin is beyond the user, but Islam tells you go directly to the system admin. You could choose to spiritually work with moderators. In my mind, the only way that I think you're able to like maybe someone is destined to work with moderators, like spiritual moderators. It's in the same way that the soul is keeping them distracted from wreaking havoc. It's as if imagine there's souls in a human. There's humans right now battling monsters that the species cannot ever see to resolve challenges and problems beyond their initial settings. And so all seeks the original because it's like we're here to remember greatness forged us. Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen. All praise due to the Lord of the worlds. Thank you for listening.